Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's executive webinar series. Today, we'll talk about top 5 best practices for ISO compliance and introductions to QDMS software for digital compliance. My name is Kevin Devecioglu, and I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. I have my colleagues with me today, and today we'll be sharing information with you about ISO in general, as well as we'll introduce you to QDMS software. Today with me, I have my colleague, Alex Quartero from MRAS Consulting, and Alex will be talking about ISO, fundamentals of ISO, as well as top 5 best practices for ISO compliance. Also today with me, I have my colleague Sam Watt with us. Sam is our pre-sales software engineer from our engineering team, and he'll cover the show and tell session with regards to QDMS demonstration. So we'll learn from Sam how QDMS looks, how it feels, its benefits and features. Also with us today, we have Furkan Bas, our QDMS product manager, and he'll be with us during Q&A session. So before further ado, I'd like to invite my colleague, Alex Quartero, to our virtual stage. Alex is a certified lead ISO consultant, auditor, and he'll be talking about ISO compliance and top 5 best practices of ISO. Alex, if you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen. I'll make sure to make you the presenter so you won't have any.
Sure.
In terms of sharing your screen. Okay, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
We can see your screen. Okay, looks good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go. All right. Again, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me for this to this webinar, and thank you everybody for joining. Today, I'm going to be talking about some best practices for ISO compliance, and I've been asked to limit to the 5 best practices. So I had to do a little bit of thinking and determine which are the best practices, because they're all important in dealing with ISO compliance. But I thought that the 5 that I will be talking about are probably the most critical ones. Without those, really, it'll be very difficult to meet or satisfy ISO. So we'll be talking about that. So before I discuss the ISO compliance issues, I just want to introduce myself and my company, MRAS Consulting. Personally, I'm a certified ISO 9001 lead auditor, and I'm also the sole proprietor of MRAS Consulting. I've established MRAS Consulting in 2015 after a lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company, which is certified to the AS9100 quality standard, which is really for aerospace development. Currently, I provide consulting services for businesses that are trying to achieve and also maintain ISO certification. That's already 3 years ago, I became a Bimser Solutions partner, and I came across Kevin, and I realized, and he introduced me to some of the tools that Bimser is offering, and in particular, I was very, very interested in QDMS, because that really is an amazing tool that provides a lot of help in dealing with the massive amount of data and documents associated with ISO. So I think Sam will have some presentation on the tool, but I just wanted to introduce the capabilities of this really great tool. And I also present a number of webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. So again, I'm not going to really dwell a lot of time on this diagram, but this is really I think the best way to describe what ISO is, and really ISO is a establishment of a quality management system, and this plan, do, check, act cycle was developed by Deming, who was a quality guru, and certainly this process certainly applies today, because really what it all means here is that a quality management system is a continuous improvement. In other words, you're never satisfied with what you have. You always look for improvement. But to make decisions on what to improve on, it really has to be based on data. And this is really what ISO is trying to define as your internal processes to help you uncover issues and also how to fix them. So I think that diagram is kind of important to keep in mind as to what we're trying to achieve when we certainly either ISO compliant or ISO certified. But today I want to focus, first of all, before I focus on some of the certification issues, I just want to identify that ISO does offer a lot of benefits. And this information I just came across came from both the Manufacturing News and the Dallas Business Journal, okay? And what it really said is that 85% of the ISO registered firms have reported positive results. And what are they? What improvements have they achieved? Well, certainly a reduction in customer complaints, improvement in delivery time, reduced defects, and again, you know, all of this drives customer satisfaction. I think all of these issues. Also, internally, you're reducing your product cycle time, so that improves your bottom line. And of course, you increase on-time delivery. Now, you know, I'm not going to argue with the numbers, with the percentages. This is the numbers that I got from these two journals. But the important thing is if you follow the ISO principles, and again, you have to follow them. It's not that, you know, you get certified and then you go back to the old ways. No, you have to follow them. Then you definitely see improvements in both customer satisfaction and also your profit margins. So let's look at some of the best practices for ISO compliance. And again, these are not the entire set of practices. I wanted to pick the really critical ones, and probably I'm going to discuss them in the order of importance, or at least what I feel is important. The first one obviously is we got to ensure that management is involved and provides direction. If an organization is getting ready for ISO certification, but management is not behind it, or thinks that, well, that's not for them to get involved with that, well, then I hate to say that, but the compliance will not really bring you any benefit. Management has to be involved. Management has to set the achievable quality objectives and also monitor the progress. They have to enforce ISO compliance throughout the whole organization. It's not that you can delegate ISO to, let's say, your quality manager, and then the rest of the people don't even know what's going on. No, it has to really flow down through all of the various levels of the organization, and management can monitor what's going on by scheduling periodic management meetings to address all of the ISO compliance issues. So they really have to be involved, and they have to show that they're on top of all of the ISO requirements. The next thing is really to communicate that and enforce the ISO requirements throughout the entire organization. And again, without management doing this, again, it will not really penetrate all the levels of the organization. So how do you do that? How do you enforce this? Well, first of all, you have to provide some training in ISO. All of the employees of the organization have to be aware what ISO is all about, what are the goals of ISO and the objectives. Also, the internal processes have to be defined and established because that generates efficiency and will improve the overall workflow of either the product or services that the organization is producing. Develop work instructions for consistency of output, because especially we've gone through a period, through the pandemic period, where your employees get sick and somebody has to replace them. So how do you make sure that the work that they're doing is consistent? Well, it has to be defined as work instructions, so that if somebody's absent one day, somebody else can pick up the work and produce with the same kind of quality that was done previously. Also, very important is to establish criteria in measuring the quality parameters and also address the defect elimination. Okay, you're gonna have defects, you're gonna have issues, you're gonna have problems that you're gonna have to deal with, but very important is to establish how do you measure and how often do you measure those parameters to make decisions on whether you have a problem or not. Now also, from an external standpoint of the organization, you have to deal with a lot of entities, namely your customers. Okay, yeah, that's a ongoing discussion. You have to really feel the pulse of the customer to see if there are any problems, that they're able to communicate that. So that's very critical. Your suppliers, the new ISO 9001 standard requires you to manage your suppliers, because unless you get quality products from your suppliers, your overall product that you deliver won't meet the standard that you're looking for. So monitoring suppliers is a very critical aspect of ISO. You also have to deal with the regulatory agencies. There's a lot of regulations out there, and depending on in the field that you're working in, they're imposing constraints on how your processes is really followed. You have to deal with investors, and of course, nowadays social media plays a very important part in spreading the word about the organization. So all of these entities have to be considered as part of ISO compliance. So let's go on. Also now, since we've addressed internally that you have to both consider managing your internal resources as well as all the external resources, now also you have to implement internal control. Okay, and there's a lot of areas where you need to control various activities. First thing is you have to identify and manage your risks, and that's usually done in the planning stage. And yes, I agree that sometimes you cannot predict all the risks that will eventually show up, but at least identify the risks that you can identify, that you can think of, and manage them. You have to deal with them. So that's a very important part of the planning phase. Also, documentation, obviously, depending on the nature of your product, I'm sure that there's a lot of documents that specify the requirements and the design of the product. So all of these documents have to be controlled. So there's not a mix-up of using the wrong version of a document. Also, records, and that is all the data that are being collected from really the development of the product through the manufacturing of the product. And these are all the records that are collected and are really used to analyze the quality, or how can you improve quality based on the data that you collect. So managing all those records is very critical to be able to improve the quality. Also, measurement criteria. How do you measure to determine whether you're within spec or outside of spec, whether you sample the data and so on? I think it's very important to establish those guidelines, and also how do you manage all your non-compliant outputs? Okay, so hopefully you can catch all of your non-compliant products before they get delivered to the customer, so you can resolve them within your organization. But obviously you'll have some complaints from the customer, so you're going to have to deal with the returns and how you manage all of the non-compliant products. Also, whenever you run into a problem, you have to institute a root cause analysis process. And there are many tools to do that, but you have to have a systematic way of identifying and eliminating all of your discrepancies. Also, part of ISO is very important to conduct an internal audit. So audit procedures have to be established and followed. And the last really item I want to talk about is, well, to strive for digital compliance, okay, to simplify management of ISO. Now, this is something that is not specifically a requirement of ISO to be compliant in a digital format. However, I personally a very strong proponent of a digital compliance, because really you should eliminate, where possible, in some cases you can't, I understand that, but where possible, eliminate all hard copy storage and digitize all of your documents, data, all your material that you're controlling, so that you don't have to store that in some file cabinets, which sometimes are difficult to locate, and you don't have as much of a control when it's all digitized. However, and especially in today's environment where a lot of people are working off-site, and now they need access to that data that's possibly stored in a file cabinet. Well, they don't have access to that. So if everything is stored, and the best way is if you use a software tool such as QDMS, which Sam will certainly address right after my presentation, then all of the information will be accessible through a server, and whether you're working on site or remotely, it doesn't matter. You would have the same access to all the information that you need. And another advantage of having a software tool like QDMS is that a lot of the audits, if not maybe all of them, but most of the audits could be performed virtually, because then through the tool, the auditor will have access from a remote location into your QMS system. So that's obviously a tremendous advantage, and I'm really want to emphasize this very important capability. So that really concludes my presentation, and I'd like to turn it over back to Kevin. Thank you very much.
Alex, thank you very much for your presentation. Very informative, as always. Much appreciated. As you mentioned, yeah, it's really hard to mention only 5 best practices, but I appreciate that you summarized the top 5 for ISO compliance, and it was very educational. Thank you very much. Let me take over the screen, then we can continue our executive webinar series. Great. Now we come to our show and tell session. During this session, we'll be talking about QDMS software. QDMS is a quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. We'll share more information about QDMS, but just some short notes. Bimser International has been developing QDMS since 1998, and there are more than 1,000 corporate clients, companies using QDMS on a daily basis. So it's a mature system. It is reliable, it is scalable, and it is trusted by many well-known brands and companies as listed on the slide. Today, there are many different things that we can talk about QDMS software. However, for today's live executive webinar series, we focus on control document management module, corrective action module, instant management module, and all of these modules come with reports. And there is also executive dashboard available in QDMS, and we'll be also showing you these modules as well. So for that purpose, I'd like to invite my colleague, Sam Watt, to our virtual stage. As I mentioned earlier, Sam is our pre-sales software engineer from our engineering team, and he'll be performing the demonstration for you to show you features and benefits of QDMS in our live demo environment. After Sam's demonstration, we'll continue our live executive webinar session. Sam, if you are ready, please take over the screen. Okay, looks like Sam is trying to connect, so what I'll do is I'll continue our session, and Sam can join us in a minute.
Hey, hello.
Sam, you are back.
Yes, yeah, excuse me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was about to continue. Yeah, I just want to make sure you are able to connect. If you are ready, please take over the screen.
So give me 1 second.
No problem.
Connected. I'm trying to get my screen back.
Absolutely. Okay, looks good.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, floor is yours. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining today's executive webinar session. And this is Sam, the pre-sales software engineer of Bimser International. In the following, I will demonstrate you QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management system, and shows you the capability how our system helps you comply with ISO standards. And this is the home screen after you log into QDMS. And actually, QDMS is a web-based system, so that after deploying QDMS to your cloud or on-premise server, you can connect to your system by using your web browser like Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, or Safari. In addition, QDMS is a permission-based system, which means not every user can see everything in the system. Different users have different permissions based on their role, position, profession, department, and group. I am now logging in as the admin so that I have the full control of the system. And on this home page, when you log into the system, you can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval. You can have a quick connection of this particular request by opening this widget. For example, the document that is waiting for your approval. And then you can have a quick connection to this document and start reading and approving this document with upload request. On the top left, this is the main menu of QDMS. Thanks to the modular structure of the system, you can pick and choose the modules that you want to have in order to comply with ISO standard. So you can pick and choose the modules that you want to based on the challenges that you are facing. For example, managing your control document or managing the non-conformance and corrective actions, or managing the incident. So that you can get the modules like control document management module, corrective action modules as known as CAPA module, and the incident management modules, which we are going to dive in today in this webinar. First of all, we come to the control document management module. By using this module, you can upload your control documents like your SOPs, procedures, specifications, policies, or training materials to QDMS. Furthermore, you can manage the revision of your control document. That means you have an update document that you want to upload to the system. Then QDMS increments the version number automatically for you so that you can always keep tracking the update of your control document. And meanwhile, the previous version of your document will be saved in an archive of QDMS. And I will show you in a minute that with the permission, you can always get back to the previous version of your control document. And in this module, you can also manage the folder structure of in this module. That means we can create the folder or different subfolders by locations, departments, document types, and so on in the system. And we can upload our documents based upon different folder that we have set up as for the folder structure. Once the document and the folder they are ready in the system, we can also read the document within QDMS. As what you can see on your left, this is the folder structure that we have in this demo environment. And once we get into this folder, we can find all the subfolders and also the documents that we have uploaded. QDMS supports different file formats that you upload to the system. It can be a Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, image, and even audio and video file. You don't need any other software or application to read or open your documents. And instead, those can be opened within the built-in browser of QDMS. As I'm now opening my SOP document, which is initially a PDF file, so I don't need any software or application. And instead, in this web browser, I can start reading the documents that I have uploaded in the system. And this is the content of my document, which I can read this and also find all the information related to this document from the tabs on the top. For example, the document info. We can find the code, the name, the version number, the document owner, creation date, and also the creator of this document. Furthermore, as for our document, it has different versions, and all the version will be saved in the archive of QDMS. If you do not have the permission for getting back to the previous version, the system always shows you the most up-to-date one on your screen. And as now I am logging in as the admin, so that I have the full control of the system. That means I can also get back to the previous version of this document, like version 0, which is the original document. So in the original one, there is nothing highlighted in the document. So this is how we can always tell the differences and also the changes between two versions of our control document. While we are uploading and updating the document, we can also set up the permission to the users and user groups, like reading, printing, revising, getting back to the previous version, or deleting the document. Those activities can be restricted by coming to this permission matrix page while we are uploading or updating this document. That means while we are creating a new uploading request or a new revision request. This is the distribution list. And as for all the users or user groups, those are in this distribution list, they will receive a notification or a reminder once this document is uploaded or updated in the system. For instance, all the managers, they are supposed to be familiar with our company policies, a policy. And once there is any update to the company policies, then as the manager, they are in this distribution list, they will receive a reminder. And the reminder will remind them, okay, now we have an update to the company policy. So please feel free to read this and update to yourself. And this is how this distribution list works in QDMS. And this is the approval flow, approval list to this document. While you're uploading or updating your document, you can manage this approval list and invite different approvers to this approval list. And as for the end user, they are reading your document. Once they find something wrong with the document, they can always contact the creator for sure, and also contact the approver by coming to this approval page, so that you can share your idea or your findings to the approvers accordingly. All the actions will be recorded with in the system with the username, action type, and also date and time. This is the audit trail that helps you keep tracking all the activities that carry out in your system and against your document. So you can see the document when it has been approved and also when it has been updated or uploaded. In QDMS, there is a reporting tool that allows you to create different ready-made reports. For example, the document status report. As for all the reports, we can first of all put some criteria or condition to our report, saying I want to see all the documents that is under revision and published in terms of their status. Or we can set up certain time frame for the creation date, or we can check who the who the creator is in this report. After that, we can make our searching, and all your records will be shown in a list. On the top, we also have the search bars provided by QDMS that you can enter part of your keywords that allows you to have your quick searching. You are more than welcome to export your report into Excel or PDF for sharing with any responsible parties or for documentation purposes. And this is how we can enjoy the benefits of Control Document Management module that helps you manage all the control documents that you have in the system, in your company. So by using QDMS, this is the final stop for all your control documents, so that you can centralize all the control document management activities by using QDMS, and make sure all your control documents are insecure. In QDMS, we also have Corrective Action module, as known as the CAPA module. By using this module, you can manage and record all the non-conformity, and also root cause definition and corrective action records in this module. And these are all the corrective action records that we have in this demo environment. And those will be shown in different status, like open, result, follow-up, plan, and so on, based on the progress that we're handling this particular corrective action record. So in this module, we can create a new one, a new corrective action record that we can pick and choose the corrective action source from a drop-down. And in this list, all these items, they are configurable. That means we can always add, edit, or delete the item in this drop-down list. In this example, you may see those are coming from employee observation, risk assessment, work accident, incident, or quality control. So those can be managed in this page and in this particular drop-down. In addition, we can record the department, location, non-conformity, and also the description of our non-conformity. After that, we can assign this corrective action or non-conformity to a solution team. And this team has to file a first progress report that you can see on the top. Those tabs in gray color, as the system will take you through step by step. So the solution team has to file a first progress report and then define the root cause, also create and perform certain corrective action. If there's no other follow-up action, then we can close this corrective action accordingly. And this is how we can create a new corrective action in QDMS. And I'm going to show you one of the records that we have in the system that shows you how the system works. In QDMS, we can always bring this report-like page of this particular record. So this page shows you the non-conformity that we have recorded with the date and time, and also the description of this non-conformity. After that, we can find if there's attachment that we have connected or uploaded along with this record, and the solution team that we have assigned to. After that, we can find the first progress report, like the investigation that we have done. Also, we can see the root cause that we have defined it based upon this non-conformity, and also the corrective action that we have assigned it and performed it in this record. So in this one, we put together the training procedure, and you can find the responsible person and the action performer. If there's any follow-up action is needed, then we can also set this up to a responsible person before we closing this corrective action. So all the information that you have entered in this record can be found in this report. So considering like the ISO's auditor, the auditor comes to your office and asks you, show the auditor like how you manage your non-conformity and corrective action. You don't have to spend the whole week for searching and finding all the records of your corrective action. And instead, you can open QDMS in your web browser and show all the records to the auditor, how to manage the non-conformity and corrective actions right away to the auditor. First of all, the auditor will be impressed. You have such a comprehensive and nice system for managing all the quality management activities. And also, it saves your time and cost for managing all these quality management activities. Think about like you manage them on Excel or on paper. You have to have your local drive ready, and it's scattered around in your local drive, or you manage it on paper that you put all your paperwork in your cabinet, in your drawer, or somewhere in the office. So by using QDMS, you can have all these records well organized, and then you can enjoy the benefits of saving the cost and also time in the scope of quality management. At last, we come to the incident management module. By using this module, you can record all the incidents that happen in your company. For example, like near miss or any incident like health and safety or something on fire. So those can be recorded in the system, and we can configure different forms that helps you put together all the data entry. Like in our incident form, we help you manage the date and the date end of the incident, and how long it lasts or when it happened. Or we can have other form like this is another example. Like we can help you to manage like the result of the incident, and you can choose from a drop down, and also like the type of the illnesses. So we can design different form based upon the actual operation of your company for managing your incident. So in QDMS, it has the capability for you to configure the forms for recording your incident. Please keep in mind that different companies, they have different approach for managing their incident. So there is no any standard way to manage or record our incident, even though that you are complying with ISO. ISO didn't tell you how to do that, but ISO only tells you what you should do in order to have a continuous improvement. So that based upon the actual operation of your company for managing the incident, then we will configure the form that you want to have and record the data that you think that is necessary for managing all the incidents. One more thing I want to mention here is we can also create different precaution action in this incident management module. For example, the document that we have newly upload or update for this incident or any corrective action. So if we choose create a new one, then the system will take you to the corrective action right away so that you can create your corrective action based on this incident. And it is also one of the feature that we have in the system, that we have an internal integration or communication among the modules of QDMS. For sure, we can also have our workflow set up in the incident management module that we can invite different approvers to this incident management module. Therefore, once the approver is set up, then they have to review and either approve or reject this incident filing in the system. And in QDMS, there is a dashboard module that visualizes all the data that you have recorded in QDMS. All your data will be shown as a scorecard, a list, or table. And excuse my internet speed. There we go. So by using the dashboard in QDMS, you can find all the data that's visualized into the bar chart, a pie chart, or like a scorecard, table, or list. Especially for the high management level, they can keep tracking and monitoring all the performance and KPIs of the company. You are also more than welcome to export this dashboard into PDF or Excel for sharing with any responsible party. It comes to the end of my demonstration. Thank you very much.
Sam, thank you very much for the demonstration. Let's take over the screen and we can continue our executive webinar session. As my colleague Sam demonstrated, QDMS is easy to use and you can address many different ISO compliance requirements in a digital environment. Today we focus on control document management, incident management, and corrective action modules of QDMS. However, there are more than 20 modules available on QDMS to comply with many different quality management standards, including ISO, of course. Let's talk about QDMS a little bit more in detail in terms of benefits, features, and it is offering. QDMS is a proprietary software system of Bimser International, and Bimser International is an enterprise software maker since 1998, based in New York with global presence. Bimser is an ISO 9001, ISO 27001, and ISO 15504 certified company. So, in essence, speaking of ISO and quality management standards, we practice what we preach in a digital environment. We've been developing QDMS since 1998, and it has more than 1 million professional users using QDMS on daily basis. It's a mature system, it is solid, it is reliable, and it is scalable. It has many different reputable references, as I shared with you earlier before my colleague Sam perform his demonstration. QDMS is a standalone software system. In addition, it is a certified Acumatica ERP and Sage Intacct ERP software, certified software product as well. Let's talk about some benefits of QDMS. With the help of QDMS, you can manage your quality management system digitally with no need of paper. So you can take control of your quality management system. If you are a quality assurance manager or quality manager, and if you are compliant with ISO, or if you are running your quality management system, for example, on daily basis, and if you are on paper or on spreadsheet, for example, it's very difficult to manage your quality management system and to make sure everyone in your company is on the same page and following instructions, guidelines based on your quality management system. So on QDMS, you take control of your quality management system to comply with many different standards, such as ISO. Also, you can automate your quality management processes in a digital environment. You can comply with many different quality management standards. Also, you can comply with federal, state, and local regulations as well in a digital environment. You can increase customer satisfaction. You can continuously improve your business processes with the help of QDMS in a digital setting. You can easily manage your follow-ups and tasks in a digital environment with the help of QDMS. You can have your records digitally, so you can easily pull up your reports, as well as you can retrieve your records in case of there is an audit, for example, for surveillance or for certification purposes. Then you can increase your productivity on QDMS. On QDMS, you can comply with many different standards. In addition to ISO 9001, you can comply with other ISO standards, ISO 14000, ISO 13485. Also, you can comply with IATF for automotive industry, AS 9100 for aerospace industry, or HQF or BRC type of quality management standards for food and beverage industry as well. And there are many other quality and compliance management standards and regulations you can use QDMS for in a digital environment. It has a web-based architecture. What it means is you can access your quality and compliance related data and tasks as well as processes with a web browser, just like connecting another website. So it is available for you to connect from anywhere. You may be on-site, you may be off-site, you may be traveling or working from home. That is okay to connect QDMS from anywhere. It is easy to use, so once we train you, you can manage QDMS as an admin as well without any IT support or any other consultant support. Of course, our support continues 24/7 as the maker and owner of the technology. However, once we train you, you can easily manage the system for quality and compliance management purposes. It has advanced security capabilities. Also, with the help of QDMS, you can create your corporate memory. So the data, the compliance information will not be staying on local laptops or computers. It'll be on QDMS platform. So no matter who is in charge, you'll have the data for quality and compliance purposes. QDMS has advanced integration capabilities. What it means is it has a modern technology and it is able to communicate and connect other software systems that you may have at your organization. Your accounting system, your ERP system, QDMS can integrate, pull and push data, so you can avoid double entry and you can have an integrated management system. In addition, QDMS integrates with CRM systems, manufacturing execution systems, or IoT devices to automate your quality management system. QDMS is vertical free. Since 1998, we have been implementing and deploying QDMS in many different industries or many different companies. So it has the flexibility to adapt your industry. In the scope of ISO 9001, QDMS has ISO 9001 compliance capabilities as well as we develop it and design the architecture of it. QDMS has ready-made integration with Halo Smart Sensor. So Halo Smart Sensor remotely monitors air quality, temperature, humidity, for example, and if there is anything out of range, it communicates with QDMS for you to take action in the form of audits, inspections, as well as corrective action related investigations. So you can document what is going wrong and what type of corrective actions you are planning to take, and you can document it on QDMS. So with the help of this integration, you'll have a proactive quality management system in place. If you have any other smart sensor, any other modern smart sensor, QDMS integrates those smart sensors as well for you to have an integrated management and quality management system at your organization. QDMS has more than 20 different modules available, and these modules are independent and interdependent. QDMS is a standalone independent software system, as I mentioned. However, these modules structure gives you more flexibility to pick and choose any module you like. Today, we focus on control document management, corrective action, incident management modules, followed by reports as well as dashboards. In addition, there are modules for training, for calibration management, for risk management, for evacuation, drill management, as well as FMEA, MSDS, and many other tasks that you need to perform for compliance purposes. QDMS works on laptop, on desktop, as well as smart devices such as tablets and smartphones. So you can access the same set of data that you generate no matter where you are. Great. So before we end our session, Alex, do you have any final remarks, final comments that you'd like to share with our audience?
Certainly, Kevin. Yeah, I just want to expand a little bit on what Sam and you said about QDMS, and specifically, in my experience, when I was still employed at the aerospace company, I was not aware of the existence of a tool like QDMS. And we were going through a yearly surveillance audit, and we failed it because our records, specifically the training records, were partially stored on computers, and others were as hard copies. And when the auditor requested to get all of the training records, we couldn't produce them. And we had an action item to fix that. So the point is that had we had a tool like QDMS, we would have breezed through that audit very easily. So I think this is really a point that I'd like to stress from my own experience.
Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. And also, again, thank you so much for your presentation earlier, which was actually very informative. Thank you, as always. Before we end our session, I'd like to invite you to our YouTube channel that has the Synergize 2021 Annual Virtual Conference and Summit recordings in it. So this year, we performed the Synergize 2021 conference in a virtual setting, and it was actually very informative, and we had a great turnout. So if you like to watch recorded sessions, they were very informative and educational about digital transformation. However, we mostly focus on remote work and feature of remote work and digital transformation. So please visit our YouTube channel, and you'll have a chance to watch Synergize 2021 sessions videos as well. We are getting also ready for next year's Synergize 2022 Annual Virtual Summit and Conference. Next year, we'll focus on how to automate business processes in a digital environment. So please visit our Eventbrite page and register for Synergize 2022. Our YouTube channel is very active, and on a weekly basis, we generate videos, and we make them available on our YouTube channel. Videos that we make cover very popular subjects. For example, digital transformation, manufacturing 4.0, automation, predictive maintenance, as well as cloud technology are some of the popular subjects that we cover. So please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe to be notified for coming videos. And our Eventbrite page is designed to help you learn about our coming events, and you can see the list of our coming events, and you can register for those that you are interested. I'd like to thank you for your time and for your interest, and we are looking forward to seeing you at our coming executive webinar series. Thank you, and have a nice day.